I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All set with attendance? I'd entertain a motion to approve the August 11th, 2022 school board meeting minutes. Moved by Phoebe. Do we have a second? Chantel. Any errors, omissions? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Holly? Yes.
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
Ava?
Yes.
Robin?
Yes.
Jody? Abstain. Natasha? Yes. Lynn?
Yes.
Katie?
Yes.
Chantel? Yes. Lena?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes. So moved. Any public comment? Nothing. Any board comments? No, you do have to comment.
Good evening. We're opening up as normal as possible. Info was sent out on the few protocols that we still need to follow. Letter went out on the website, the Facebook page, and the robo email outlining the details. That came about, we sat with our nurses and went over the CDC rules, and then we actually also sent it to Jolene Sage, who's our health officer now, to take a look at that before we sent it out. If our nominee is approved tonight, I'm happy to say that we'll have all our teaching positions filled. We still have 5 ed tech positions open. Looks like 2 are special ed, 2 are title positions, and 1 is the social emotional learning tech. And we still have 1 bus driver custodian position open, a 4-hour custodian position open, and then a couple of the grant-funded custodian positions open. If you take a look in the paper and read what other districts are going through, I think we're in great shape overall. I think it says a lot for our district. I think we've done a good job of having good contracts for people. I think they understand that we care about education in this town, in these 3 towns. So it looks good for us, and we're hoping, we had a couple interviews already for those ed tech positions and a couple candidates that have sent in for the other ones. So we could be in good shape in the next 2 weeks here. So I wanted to take this time to thank our custodian and maintenance people for doing a wonderful job on our buildings. And I also wanted to thank our administrators and directors, as well as our central office staff, for all their hard work this summer, for getting things ready. They truly do work year-round.
Questions for Scott? Okay, moving on to administrator reports. Sherry.
It's on already. I'm afraid to knock it over, but I want you to be able to hear me also. So. Hello. So, it's been a pretty productive summer. I'm pleased to report that we were able to hire 4 special education teachers. We increased our in-person speech language services. We contracted for teletherapy social work services, and we have filled all but 2 of the special ed tech positions. And I did offer one of those positions to somebody today. So hopefully it'll be filled by next week. I also want to take time to thank Tina Collins, the building principals, and several of the special education teachers who helped me with that process through the summer. It was very busy. One of the other ed tech positions that Scott mentioned is a Title I shared for our remote learners. So, and we have not filled that position either. So that is a 2/5 of a special ed position that hasn't been filled for our students that are at the remote academy. Last week we had 17 teachers and ed techs attend a virtual workshop with MadSec, and this includes year-long support for our special ed teachers with less than 5 years experience, which is a good chunk of our special ed teachers. So that will be very helpful to them. We couldn't get all of our teachers to attend, but some of them will have the opportunity to have that support year-long, even though they weren't able to attend the workshop. Michelle Mitchell, our special ed social worker at the primary and elementary school. She's also one of our safety care trainers, took time to train the majority of our administrative staff in safety care, which is a de-escalation program that covers us for Chapter 33. We're going to continue offering that to staff during the school year. And an update on special ed numbers. We currently have 365 students in special education to start the year. This includes 31 students in the referral process. There has been some that left and some that came. So we had 10 graduate in June. We have 18 kids from CDS coming in to transitional kindergarten or kindergarten. We've had 10 students transfer into our district with IEPs or within the referral process, and we've had 8 transfer out. So at this point, we're beginning with 10 more than we had in June. But it is changing daily because we had 3 registered today. They're just not official yet, so we don't have their paperwork. So it will continue. At the primary school, we have 78 students in special education. In the elementary, 77 students. The middle school has 101, and the high school has 109 students in special education. There are 8 students in special purpose schools. This is the same number in June as in June. We had 2 graduate, but we had 2 transfer in that were already in day treatment placements, so we are legally obligated to follow with that. And lastly, I want to thank Norma and Sean for everything they do to organize our transportation. These 8 students that go out of district, we need to transport them. We also need to transport a number of students on special transportation just within our district, and it's a huge number. And I don't know how they keep it all straight, but they get everybody where they need to go and make it work. That's it.
Any questions, comments for Sherry? Phoebe?
I just want to thank you for your hard work over the summer. We greatly appreciate your efforts to make sure that our students have everything that they need, as well as our staff. So, great job.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Andrew?
I'm sorry, I don't know the numbers off my head, but we're 10 more students than we were last year. How are we doing as staff as compared to last year? Do we have more staff, same, or a little less?
I believe we have 2 additional ed techs this year, one at the primary school and one at the high school.
Okay,
And those were based on student need.
thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you. Tina?
Good evening. Wrong paper. So Sherry summarized a lot of the special education stuff. So on the 504 end of things, since my last report, it's been a while since I've seen you guys. So I've been working on the local entitlement grant funding and applications. Over the course of the next few weeks, I expect to submit the year-end expenditure reports for FY22 and also the American Recovery Program grant that we received from last year. Crystal, it's been a team effort for sure, so kudos to Crystal Flagg and Sherry and Julia Parker, because we all work on this together, and I appreciate everybody's help with that to make sure we keep it all moving in the right direction. But I'll have another update for you at the next board meeting when I report on the year-end reporting. As far as 504 numbers, our active case count K-8 is at 32 students, and active case count 9 to 12 is currently at 29 students. We've had some students graduate, of course. Our referral status currently is at 4. With some referrals that had come in over the summertime. And so total student count is at 63 for active cases. We do have some inactive cases of students not, either not participating in school right now or getting their education through adult ed at the time. So Do have some inactive cases, but I'm only reporting out on the active ones for you. All of the Section 504 plans have been distributed to staff. I sent those all out to staff last week, with the exception of any new teacher that might be hired today. But anyway, so those are all out so that staff have those accommodation plans in their hands, and they know what those are prior to the students arriving in their classroom. So that's all. Any questions?
Questions?
Oh, sorry, that's Bob's question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Michael?
Good evening. I'd like to kind of just first start with just saying I'm really excited to start my second year here in the district. Really looking forward to it. Got a lot of exciting things planned with our staff for our students. Like to start also talk about enrollment real quick. I have 368 students currently, and that number changes every day from morning to afternoon. We have kids coming and going, it seems like. So it'll be different tomorrow morning, but right now we're at 368. Also want to give a huge thank you to our summer school staff that worked. I had, for our teachers at Avery Cloutier, Sarah Hubbard and Tabby Cushman. We had our ed techs that helped out. We had Jared Berry, Jen Beckler, and Lynn Kastner. It's hard to come to school in the summer for teachers, and obviously really hard for some students. But every day when I saw the students, they had huge smiles on their faces. They were really excited about the things they were learning in their classrooms. So it was really nice to see that. Also want to just give a big thank you to our maintenance staff and our custodial staff. So we have Ed, Cassidy, Kevin, and Dave at our building. And we have 2 new guys that started over the past couple weeks, Caleb and Ron. And the building looks incredible. Floors are spotless, and it's kids are going to be really excited when they come into the building and see it all ready for them. This past week, we did our Summer Institute Days at the elementary school, where I worked with our groups of teachers. So I worked with our first and second grade teachers, and we talked about the reading workshop model and kind of developing a literacy-rich environment for all the students. Met with our PBIS team, and we kind of talked about how we can build off all of the success that we had last year. And then today, our kindergarten team met. I had to excuse myself from that meeting today, and Julie Boldick took that one over. And we just kind of talked about really kind of slowing down to kind of develop those habits of learning in our kindergarten students to set them up for success going forward. And our pre-K teachers met and worked on aligning their curriculum more so. And then finally, I just want to give a huge thank you and shout out to Kathy Bilodeau. She's our secretary at the school right now, and she's been with me all summer, and she kind of keeps me sane when we have all these things coming and going. So just going to give a thank you to Kathy.
Questions or comments for Michael?
How's the baby?
She's doing good.
Excellent.
So she's, well, I say good, but she just got over a sickness a few weeks ago. And then yesterday, both my boys tested positive for COVID, so hence the mask. So I'm just trying to stay as positive as possible and get through it, because I don't really want to do remote principal on the first couple days of school.
Andrew?
Are your enrollment numbers this year roughly the same as last year, or?
We always
big
hover.
increase or decrease?
Yeah,
or-
we always hover right at 370. So we're like I said, 368, so we're right there.
Anyone else? Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Patrick?
You always smiling at me. What's that? Well, I know I look good, thank you. So first, I don't know who did it, but I would like to thank whoever made the change in the order for administrator reports, now that I don't have to follow Carrie. Oh, thank you, Laura. I appreciate that. So I don't know what I did, but I owe you big. What was that? She likes chocolate. All right. So the elementary, we had a good summer, I have to say. One of the challenges we faced is we did have one of our longtime staff members in the library move on. She wanted to try a different part of the country, which I told her was wrong. But she went ahead and did it, which I'm happy for her, but at the same time, we lost a great librarian, Carly Wilkins. So that created an opening, and then our computer teacher decided that she wanted to be a librarian, which I was happy for, because Dana's amazing. But then we had a computer opening that we had zero interest. So every once in a while, I think, and sometimes I even have good thoughts, and I talked to Jen Stone about like what we've seen over the years, the 12 years that I've been here, needs of students. So instead of replacing the computer teacher, we decided to use that 45-minute block for allied arts to do what's called healthy living. And what we're going to do in that block is Jen has always tried to go into classrooms and do mindfulness kind of stuff, healthy relationships, healthy eating, zones of regulation, some outdoor ed kind of stuff. So now every kid in the building will have that 45-minute block with Mrs. Stone. We'll also use our RTI behavior teacher, Liz Kazertsky, is going to help her out. Scott was nice enough to let us keep the ed tech, so we are hiring for the social and emotional ed tech. That'll help Jen, because Jen's still going to be our building social worker. But I think this is going to fill a need for the kids. We have over 300 kids in the building, and especially after the pandemic, we've got a lot of needs to help kids, and I think this is going to be the way to do it. Guaranteed time, we're not losing academics. In the past, teachers had to give up academics if they wanted to do a lot of this stuff with Jen, so we won't be losing academics, but we're going to gain so much more from offering this healthy living class. Flex grouping, we had started flex grouping prior to the pandemic in math, where we would pre-test the kids, see what their needs were, and then we would divide the kids up amongst third grade. I'm pretty excited because this year, third grade has been doing it. Fourth grade started it last year. Fifth grade's going to do the flex grouping this year for math. One of our summer institutes, we also got our title reading teacher, Kelly Gilbert, with grade level teachers, and we created for third and fourth grade, they're going to do the same thing for reading. We're going to test all the kids at the beginning of the year, find out what their strengths or weaknesses are, get them together, spread them out amongst the 6 third grade teachers and 5 fifth grade teachers so that we can target kids. And so that we know, those of you that are classroom teachers know that in a classroom you could have a huge range of kids, and we're going to take that range and make it less so that we can target the kids' needs. So I'm excited about the flex grouping for math and reading. Another thing that's going to help us is when I took over as principal, we were a tier 3 school, which means we were in a school in the need of improvement. So the benefit from it is the state gives us money. So this past summer, myself, Kelly Gilbert, who's our title reading teacher, Nathan Harden, who's our title math teacher, Amanda Hinckley, who's a third grade teacher, Michelle LeClaire, fifth grade teacher, and Liz Kazertsky, who's our RTI behavior teacher, all attended data-wise training through Harvard. And what that's going to allow us to use or help us do, especially for the flex grouping, is basically it's a continuous improvement process that we're going to implement this year that's going to help us look at data. What do we need to do? What is our student issue that we're having? Why are we having that issue? Is it something social? Is it something emotional? Is it something we need to tweak in the curriculum? Is it some kind of training that we need to provide our staff? So it's going to give us those tools to look at what we're doing, and are we getting the results we want? And if not, what do we need to do to get those results? So we'll be implementing data-wise this year. I think the most exciting thing is starting in the spring, I had Sarah Dyer come up to me, and we've been moving towards doing more outdoor ed, especially at the fourth grade level. They go out and do outdoor ed, do outdoor activities. We have a day of the week that we the classroom teachers can go and do outdoor activities. So basically what we're doing at the elementary is we have a 4-day academic week. So last year they would teach academics 4th day, and on the 5th day, Friday, you know, they would work with kids who needed extra help, or they could go outdoors and do outdoor activities, do hands-on science, take the things that they learned in those 4 days and apply them that 5th day, but more hands-on kind of stuff. This year we moved it to Wednesdays because of the early releases. So Sarah came up to me. If you remember, Sarah was one of the teachers that got the grant last year for the STEM materials. So this year she found, it's called Rethinking Responsive Education Ventures. So it's a program through the state of Maine, DOE, that provides funds for schools who want to do more outdoor, hands-on, that kind of stuff. So we had to take this short course, and we had to create a plan of what we were going to do, which ours was an outdoor classroom based on reducing truancy and behavior. And so we put in for it, and we ended up getting $100,000. So we will be building an outdoor classroom at the elementary. So I'm pretty excited about that. School numbers. Like Michael said, I don't know why this year the movement has been incredible. When I wrote this up, we had 26 new kids and we'd lost 6. I gained 4 more today and lost 1, so that puts us at 30 new kids and 7 that have moved. So our numbers at the end of last year were 313. We are down. We're at 304 now, but that's a huge number of kids. We're down because we sent that class of 5th graders to Cary that was like at 125. That was a huge class. So our school numbers right now, we stand at 304. I'd like to thank Ken and the custodians. If you haven't been to the elementary, it looks amazing. I have not seen the floors that shiny and the rooms that clean in years. Especially like to thank Ashley, Tim, Nate, and Jim, the custodians, who did an amazing job this summer. I also need to thank Brian and Wayne, the maintenance guys, who came in and fixed and installed and did everything that I asked them that we needed to start of the school year. That is all I have.
Any questions or comments for Patrick? Joel?
So of course I have an engineer bias in me. But as far as the computer piece, are you working through to kind of supplement back into the classroom and other activities, some of the stuff that they may have normally gotten in there, just to ensure?
Yep.
I mean, my fear with students is always they're focused on their phones, this and other
Yep.
devices, but there's other things. Hopefully they're learning through other ways to develop for the future. So.
Yeah, so I talked to Carrie, like, you know, what do you want these kids to be able to do, which was email, being able to access email, write emails, you know, read emails, Google Classroom, and those things that'll benefit her for the middle school, which the classroom teachers do. They do the email with them, they do the Google Classroom with them. So I think they'll be all right. I mean, if she tells me next year, hey, we gotta add this or that, then we'll do that. Because I think the healthy living right now is probably more important.
Lynn? No, we did prior to the pandemic. We had a computer lab, but when the pandemic happened, we went 1-to-1. So every kid in the elementary has a laptop. So really, so we had a computer lab, but then we gained a 3rd special ed teacher. So the computer lab was moved, and the special ed teacher took over that space. And then when we got the portable, she had a space out there, but it was easier instead of taking the kids out across the parking lot, just to do it in the classrooms. So we're actually going to use that space. So Jen's going to set that space up for her healthy living class.
And the kids access the computers won't change.
Nope, it'll be exactly the way it's been since the pandemic. They all are still 1-to-1.
Anyone else?
It's Rethinking Responsive Education Ventures. It's called the REV grant.
Chantel?
No, what we're looking at building is something greenhouse-ish, so that we can do that kind of stuff in it, but also have space where the teacher can have a group of kids and have basically a class. So kind of like a dual-purpose building. We can grow plants, we can do greenhouse things. Because last year we had some of the grow towers that were from the high school in the 4th grade classrooms, and they grew lettuce and herbs and a bunch of other things in them. So we were trying to take that from just the small that we were doing in the building and then putting it outside. The grant's also going to allow us to buy things like skis, snowshoes, that kind of stuff to get kids outside. We just need to make sure that whatever we purchase goes in, that it applies to the grant. We can't just on a whim just, decide to buy, whatever, me a new truck or something like that, What's that? I don't golf, but.
Lynn?
Yeah.
I heard Commissioner Pender Makin being interviewed on a program the other day on the radio, and she was talking about that program. And there are schools in different areas in the state where they've already established some outdoor classrooms. Is there any chance that your staff could have a chance to go and see those as part of the grant? Or is the grant specifically for developing a program?
It's specifically for developing the program, because Crystal and I met with the state rep, I don't know what day it was, Tuesday, I think, and we have a budget document that we have to tell them where every penny's going and what it's used for and why we're using it and how it applies to the outdoor of an outdoor, the outdoor classroom and what we want. So I don't know if a trip someplace falls within that. But Jen already has the, trust me, I've seen lots of plans. She's got lots of ideas for me.
Anyone else? Thank you. Carrie?
Good evening. I actually didn't include enrollment information in my board report, but I will tell you that at the end of last school year, we had 323 kids, and we're up to 355 right now. So some of them were inherited from the incoming crew of 6th graders, but in the last week and a half, I've registered 18 children, and we've lost none. So we have a lot of kids coming to us, but we're excited about it. It's all good. So the middle school has been a very busy place this summer. Summer school went very well, and I want to thank Bernadette Bessie, Kayla Murray, and Christy Bessie. They were happy to come in for 4 weeks of their summer and work with our kiddos. We had 32 students signed up to attend. 31 of them attended faithfully, most with perfect attendance, and they were able to remediate all of their grades. All 31 of those students advanced to the next grade level. So I just want to thank those teachers, because they showed up every single day. They had a smile on their face. They were a source of encouragement to the kids. And a shout out to the children too, because it is hard to come to school in the middle of the summer. And I think a lesson was learned for some of them too, that, time to get the work done is during the school year. But everyone was really flexible, and my teachers for being able to work with a wide range of students. So, and the board, I know that I've thanked you in the past for this, but I wanted to reiterate my gratitude to you for revising the retention and promotion policy. Because of your work with that policy, more students are able to access the support they need and what they need academically. So I'm grateful for that. In addition to summer school, the middle school has hosted a number of summer institute opportunities for staff seeking professional development. The math and ELA teachers participated in subject area professional development. We've had teachers across grade levels collaborating with each other as they plan for the coming year. The restorative practices leadership team spent 3 days working on our implementation plan. This plan includes developing community service opportunities for our 8th graders. We're going to pilot a community service project with 8th grade for the coming year and then make whatever tweaks we need. And then the idea is that in the following year, we'll open that up to 6th and 7th graders as well. We also trained our new restorative practices ed tech, Ann Schwab. We are thrilled to have her this year. She's going to be a huge asset to our school. And we've had some changes to health class For the last 2 years, health class has been taught once a week to 6th grade. This year, the health teacher will be full-time at the high school, but we've been able to incorporate some of that learning through other areas of the curriculum. And going forward, I would advocate for a middle school health teacher in my budget for the next school year. We really need a teacher and a curriculum that is targeted for middle school kids. Back in July, a pipe burst in my building. The damage to 2 classrooms was extensive. Contractors have been working feverishly to ensure that the rooms are ready for next week. And the teachers whose rooms were affected, Mrs. Ventrella and Miss Edmonds, they've been extremely patient. They deserve a shout out, maybe some chocolate, maybe merit pay. They've been in cleaning their rooms. They've been really, really good about it. And then along the lines of shout outs, I want to recognize my custodial crew, Tom, Dave, Donna, Jim, and Julie. Because of the issue with the pipes, they had to be very strategic in cleaning the building and getting it done on time, and they've managed to keep their wits and their good attitudes about them. I'm very, very grateful for the crew that I have, and our building will be ready to go. And then I would be remiss not to thank my office staff. We've been down a copier, and we're trying to get our packets made, and everyone's just kept a really good attitude because we're really looking forward to a school year that's hopefully, back to normal, and we're really excited about our kids coming. So the teachers and I, we've put in a lot of work behind the scenes to make the first student days a positive experience, and we can't wait to see our kids. So unless you have questions for me, that's that.
Any questions? Comments?
And it's probably not necessarily for you, but as you talk about the pipe, it just makes me think about my other lives and whatnot. But, I mean, it's very odd for a pipe to go in the summer.
They were actually working on this pipe.
Okay, so this was,
And that's why insurance is covering.
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
We were having
I just want to
issue-
make sure we're not having a bigger
No,
issue.
We were having issue, we were worried about the pipe, that's why we had some work
Yeah.
on the pipe, and while they were working on it, there was a mistake made,
And in the night it let go, and 5 in the morning I got a phone call.
Yeah.
So,
fine.
but it's,
Okay,
it's all
I just
sorted
wanna-
out now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Andrew?
Thank you, Mrs. Luce. You said you got about 35 students more than last year, plus or minus,
Yeah.
and you're gonna have enough staff and classroom space to accommodate everyone?
So, back in February, when I was, I think, giving my teacher to student ratios to you during budget season, it was looking like it would be like around 19 children per teacher. And so, we're definitely up. I'm not concerned at all about regular education. I'm concerned about the caseloads of my special education teachers.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you. TJ?
How you doing, everyone? It's been a pretty awesome summer for our students, going to Envirothon out to Ohio. Also, they've been doing their water sampling, and today they found a bunch of turtles. They're pretty pumped up about, so I'll be putting that stuff on Facebook and a lot of other stuff will be out on Facebook too. I put some documents that you'll see for the start of school. 9th grade orientation is coming. That starts on August 30th. It's a big day for our 9th graders, and we're pretty excited about that. They come in without anybody else. They get to be a part of the school, no other students, just our staff. It's a good opportunity for them. Also, that night we have a parent-guardian meeting that we do with the 9th graders, and we'll also be signing our laptop forms that night so that we can get our laptops in and handed out to the students as quick as possible. 9th grade did get their computers, and we're pretty pumped about that. We were a little bit on the back end. It was taking a little longer than we expected. Also, homecoming week is the first week of October. So Usually it's in September. We wanted to give it a little extra time so that students can have a better understanding of what homecoming is, because our ninth grade students tend to go, oh, what are we doing? So we're going to kind of coach them up a little bit. That's what we do. Sports teams is underway. We have a bunch of games tomorrow. Most of them are away tomorrow for scrimmages. It's just a great start of the school year already. I've had kids coming into the school building, moving some courses, and looking at what they're going to be doing for Foster Tech. And that's another thing. Foster Tech students will start on the very first day of school. So we will get them there. The bus departs at 8:15. You will have, if you have a Foster Tech student, you will receive a robocall tomorrow explaining everything, as well as an email, what time things start and what time things depart. So community service at the high school, we've been discussing this over the summer. One area that we are looking into, and I think this is the way we're going to go, is providing students the opportunity to get an AP level course for 100 hours of community service. So that means they'll get the designation of an AP level course. It helps out their GPA, and it also provides colleges exactly what they received for that time. So we think, and also seniors, don't be afraid, because you can still go back and get your community service hours from previous years and bring them in, and we can count them too. So pretty excited about that. So that's all I have.
Any questions, Lynn?
Where did the idea of the community service start? Like for our school?
For our school, it started last year at the end of the school year. We just hadn't been doing it for a while. At the beginning of when I first got here, we were doing it a little bit, but it was not doing well. It was very convoluted, and it just was not a good part of our school. And then through COVID, we didn't do as much, obvious reasons, and then we'd like to start it this next year.
So this is something like you want for your school?
Yeah.
Or is this an initiative on the part of you and the staff?
So it started off, Superintendent Albert asked me to take a look at it, and I brought it to the staff, and they had a bunch of different ideas, and this was the one that we've led to. So.
Do you have staff for that? Like, who's going to
Oh, that'll be done in the office, the guidance off, yeah, it's not gonna be done, and that was the other piece, like, they're already extremely busy trying to keep track of all the different community service hours. If they were to do it, if the teachers could do it, it just wouldn't work well. So we should be able to do this with the guidance and main office staff.
So guidance would be
Yep.
part of that?
Yep, yep.
Anyone else?
I will tell you, I love the idea of community service. When I lived in Florida, community service was a requirement for graduation.
Right.
You had to have so many hours just to graduate. So I really like the idea of the students having community involvement.
Thank you, thank you.
Anyone else? Tasha?
You get 2 mics there now, there you
Apparently I'm
go.
quiet, huh?
Yeah.
Will guidance have a list of
Yeah, the office will, the main
opportunities, or-
office and guidance, we'll have a list, and we always have lists of that type of stuff. It does take place, usually through Christy Labonte usually has a bunch that she has, and then through the guidance office, people contact us trying to, during the summer, there's a lot more during the summer than during the winter, believe it or not. So we can get those lists out for summertime use. Yep. Wintertime, it's hard to find, honestly, if you're not gonna shovel a roof, there's really not much community service in the state of Maine, just.
Nobody wants to be out in the
Right,
streets.
right. Yeah.
The only thing I have, TJ, is we still have a student board member available, so.
Yep.
If you can kind
Yep,
of put the
I'll put
word
that
out
word out
again and
again.
try to,
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yep.
thank you.
Thank you, guys.
And I just have a couple of things. If you haven't opened up your email about committees, that has been sent out. Didn't hear anything back, so I guess we'll make those official. Robin did say that we have way too many committees, so I sent her a message saying that we need to form a committee to look into that issue. So. And I would like to thank Superintendent Albert, the administration, the staff, anyone involved with the school for everything that they've done through COVID. It's been an absolutely trying time. I'm glad that I wasn't teaching during that time because I don't know that I would have survived. We've really appreciated Superintendent Albert's reports that he's given every meeting. He and I talked about it. The reporting is really not much at this point. So I went along and said, yeah, I don't think he needs to do a report each time. But I do know that if something comes up and he needs to let us know, some big changes that will occur. So that's why you don't see that on the agenda. And scholarship is meeting. Phoebe, do we have a date on that?
Oh, we don't have a date just yet. I'm still waiting on some of the members to get back to me about what time is good for their schedules, because of course they want people to be able to attend it.
Yeah, so I encourage those members to get with her and get that date going. Nothing there. I'd entertain a motion to enter an executive session to discuss a personnel matter pursuant to 1 MRSA 4056A. Moved by Phoebe, second Chantel. Roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Do you want me in on this one? Okay.
RSU7. I'd entertain a motion to accept the superintendent's nomination of Mike Morrill to the position of science teacher at Spruce Mountain High School. Moved by Joel, second. Chantel. Any further comments, questions? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Of course.
Yes. Congratulations. And just a reminder, the pink sheets, don't take off of those, give them back to Laura so she can shred them. And now we're going to be looking at the Spruce Mountain Primary School Handbook. Michael? I think if you just kind of give us like the biggest changes and then
Yep.
let people ask questions.
Yeah. So the first couple changes you'll see are just the dates. So those are ones that happen every year. Our arrival and dismissal times changed kind of throughout the year last year, depending on bus routes. So I had to update that. Probably the major change that's in there, that's a big one, is the teacher request change. That was on page 8. I ended up taking that out, just to kind of, I just felt like teacher requests are a hard thing to do sometimes, and to kind of, I don't want to say level the playing field, but just make it easier for us to be able to place kids where we think is best for them to go. The other one was homework policy on page 11. That there was actually updated last year when we did it, and I mentioned it last year, but it was never actually fully deleted out of there, so I just had to go back and do that again. Same thing with the meal charging policy. That's the final change. That was actually deleted last year, but it was never actually taken out, so I wanted to just reference it again. We had lost and found. We're just highly encouraging parents to write students' names on their articles of clothing, especially winter gear, because it just piles up, and then we get phone calls in the spring, hey, have you seen this jacket? And we haven't. And then our visitors portion, we kind of updated that to match the new district policy. So I actually think I went through all of them really quickly there.
Yep,
But
that's fine. Any questions or comments?
So on the parent request,
Yep.
and I mean, I understand parent request specifically for a teacher is one thing.
Correct.
Because I think it was with Jay, we'd once had a policy that may have carried through and whatnot. It was more of a parent information sharing type thing. And I want to ensure that we have some mechanism to ensure parents have a voice in kind of passing along certain things.
Yes, and all
to
of-
that. I mean, as far as saying I specifically want this teacher, no, I recognize that. But as far as going, here's some information from our perspective.
Yep. Yeah, and all of that we still do. It was the former we said, like, I want my child to have this teacher. So we were kind of eliminating that.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Need a motion. Yep. I'd entertain a motion to accept the Spruce Mountain Primary School Handbook for fiscal year 2022, 2023 with the changes as noted. Moved by Robin, second Phoebe. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, for the elementary handbook, Patrick.
So I do have a handout for you to talk about our parent pickup. I had to play with the contrast, so don't even look at that one. Don't even look at that one. So I'll just go quickly over the the major changes. Just remove the requirement for masks on the bus on page 10. Like Michael, I removed the classroom requests. I mean, I still have an open door policy. Parents can, come and tell me anything they want. But what I found over the last 3 years is it became, this is the teacher that I want. I don't want anybody else. And we spend a lot of time on the class list. I mean, we send it out to the teachers probably about April to start working on class lists. Once class lists are done, I look at it. Liz Kazertsky, our RTI behavior teacher, looks at it. Her ed tech looks at it. Jen Stone, the social worker, looks at it. Special ed looks at it, each grade level, plus Mrs. Bamford, who's our building coordinator. Jen Knovich looks at it, our school nurse. So we have a lot of eyes on the document. So I just felt that sometimes you would get stacked classrooms. You could have a teacher that had 8, 9 requests. And it made it really difficult to spread kids out where they needed to be. I just feel that's a request that needs to be. And like Joel was asking, my door is always open. They can come and talk to me about, any of their students' needs that they want, and that we'll take those into account. I updated the hat and hood rule in the building because I've noticed, probably even before the pandemic, that kids just want to hide behind their hats and their hoods, and they want to eat in the cafeteria with these all on, or they want to be in the classroom, they use it as a distraction. So I've left it to the classroom teachers that if they want to allow those in the classroom, I'm fine with that, but outside the classroom, they need to remove it unless they're at recess. They can have hats and hoods at recess. Updated the visitor protocol for the building to match the district policy. Same way with promotion and retention of students. So one of the biggest issues at the elementary last year was parent pickup in the afternoon with the cars going back out onto Route 4. So if you look at the front page, the appendix where it says Appendix A, the parent drop-off in the morning is going to stay the same. We didn't have issues with parents being out on Route 4. If you flip it over, if you've been by the elementary, they have built a road from the school bus road that runs behind the back parking lot of the elementary. So parents will come in from Hyde Road, they'll come down through the bus garage, and they'll take a right onto that newly built road. So we should not have parents backed up onto Route 4. We'll be able to fill, 4 or 5 vehicles at a time and let them go out onto Route 4. So we shouldn't have that issue anymore. And the last thing, Nancy Anktel, who worked for the district she got 3rd place in her family, but for 40 years, retired, so we did hire a new our RTI teacher, so updated that document with Emily Cheney's name.
Questions or comments? Joel?
So, thank you for this one, which is actually different than the one we couldn't read in here.
Yes,
So,
it is.
my biggest question is, because I remember a few years ago when we kind of brought the hammer down and said that's a private road and people can't go in and out of it. Have we kind of backed away from that? And part of it was also, I thought it was some of the residents along through there didn't want as much traffic through there. So have we done any communication with that neighborhood?
No.
Anything with the neighborhood we dealt with the bus garage issue because the timing should be that they're not coming through when the buses are gonna be up in that area, because that was a big concern.
Right, yeah, right, but I know there were some things around that, if we're gonna, well, I like this, but if we're gonna do this, let's make sure we cross all our Ts and dot a couple extra Is.
Yeah, I'm hoping too, though, you know, with the time, I mean, I agree, that it being like 2, you know, usually it takes us, we start calling it 2:08. Usually all the parent pickups are done by 2:20 at the latest, you know, that 12 minutes, you know, I don't know how many of the people in that neighborhood work, so I'm hoping that they're not there, so it won't bother them, but it should be, we're talking 12, 15 minutes.
I just remember the whole thing was just
Yeah.
the traffic through there, it wasn't necessarily when or anything else like that. So I know this, I forget how many years ago it was, but it wasn't that long ago, so.
Jody?
I love the pickup, just saying, I think that will be amazing. Just wondering if you think that there may be confusion because the drop-off and the pickup are different.
Well, we talked about that, and we did the drop-off and pickup the same for how many years, and we still had confusion.
Okay.
You know, and we put it out every year. I mean, not to be mean or anything, we did.
Yeah.
You know, we had people, I mean, some of you that come through the elementary would see what some people would do.
Yes.
And I had talked to them how many times we put
Right.
it out. We send diagrams, we send robocalls. So we're going to have Joe out there in the beginning to help us out to get it going.
Okay.
And the reason they did it that way is because it would interfere with the buses coming back in the morning.
Okay.
In the afternoon, they'll all be awaiting that point, but in the
Yep.
morning, that drop-off would be when our buses are going back to the bus
Yep.
garage. So-
And we had talked about it because Scott, Ken, and I had met, and we talked about just keeping it the same, but then as soon as they drop off at the elementary, it's starting at 7:30, they go straight from the elementary up into the bus garage. And then you have cars and buses, and that's why we moved it to begin with, was to keep those two away from each other.
Okay. Good luck on communication.
Anyone else? Thank you. I'd entertain a motion to accept the Spruce Mountain Elementary School Handbook for the fiscal year 2022-23 with the changes as noted. Somebody? Robin? We have a second? Chantel? Any further comments, discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So moved. Yeah, now the middle school. Carrie?
So all of the changes are in red, and there are some minor changes at the beginning with staff who've had name changes. And we've switched from laptops to Chromebooks, so that's been switched out. But the first major change would be on page 5. And it's really just reiterating our expectations about cell phones, and that they need to be powered off and in the locker, and then a reminder that dismissals have to be handled through the main office. Kids can't sneak into the bathroom with their phone and then self-dismiss. So just stating that. On page 8, my Dean of Students wanted me to add this in there, just a reminder that if you're absent, due to illness, suspension, on the day of a school-sponsored event, you can't be admitted. That is reflected from our policies. And page 11 is the biggest change. Last year, if you remember, at a board meeting in March, there was an unsubstantiated comment made about all of the bullying that's happening in schools. And I would say that we have conflict in the school, but I would not say that we have, pervasive bullying. But just the same our process for handling it is now explicitly stated in the handbook. So I wanted that included just for clarity for parents. And then on page 12, visitors to the building, I included that, and it is just a reflection of the policy we adopted back in June. And that's it.
Questions or comments? Thank you. I'd entertain a motion to accept the Spruce Mountain Middle School Handbook for fiscal year 2022-23 with the changes as noted. Chantel, second Robin. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So moved. And suspending students, Scott.
This is something that we do every year. It's through state statute. In order for our administrators to give up to a 10-day suspension, you have to authorize them that power to do so.
Any questions? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to authorize school administrators T.J. Plord, Principal of Spruce Mountain High School, Mark Keller, Assistant Principal of Spruce Mountain High School, Carolyn Luce, Principal of Spruce Mountain Middle School, Patrick St. Clair, Principal of Spruce Mountain Elementary School, and Michael Glynn, Principal of Spruce Mountain Primary School, to suspend students for up to 10 days for the upcoming school year, fiscal year 2022-23. So Phoebe, and a second by Chantel. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Yes. So moved. You have your list of appointments. Our next board meeting is September 8th here at the high school. And at the end of that meeting, there will be a tour of the building, so TJ will be showing us around, showing us the good, the bad, and the ugly. Not you, TJ.
Oh, I was going to say, you're...
And we also have one on September 22nd. Is that also going to be at the high school? It's not going to be at the high school, is it? The 22nd.
22nd is going to be at the middle school.
22nd is at the middle school, and again, we'll do a tour of the middle school at the end of the meeting. So we have policy on the 13th, and that'll be at 5 at central office. A lot of fun, as Joel says. Yes. And I have a motion to adjourn. Jody's hand up really quick. That fly. And Chantel seconded that. I'm not going to ask if you have any comments or discussion. Roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Couldn't hear. And again, don't forget those pink slips. Don't take off of those.